Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be making this smooth scrolling, infinite scrolling image reveal effect that you see. Okay, so when we scroll down, you can see we get this clip path reveal effect, and this is infinite scrolling, so it'll always repeat like so. Okay, and it's nice smooth scrolling effect. You can scroll the other way as well, the other direction, and it will always continue that scroll. So I think this is a really nice effect. It works on every screen size as well, so you can see when we minimize that. And it also works good on mobile devices. We're using the Lenis Smooth Scroll library, and it's a fantastic library for this kind of infinite smooth scrolling effect. And I really like this kind of image reveal effect as well. I think it looks really cool. Also, obviously I know I've been away for a while, so thanks for your patience. Obviously I had a few projects, been starting off my own website agency as well, which I'll link to in the description. Would really appreciate it if you could, even just follow me on Instagram, just starting this out. Likewise, if you want any kind of, personal assistance with your web design projects, or, you'd like me to build something for you, just please don't hesitate to reach out as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys, and let's get going. Thanks. Okay guys, so to get started, you can see I've got VS Code open here, and we're going to just create 3 files for this tutorial. So we need an index.html file, we need a style.css and an app.js file. Going to come in the index.html, and we'll emit some boilerplate HTML code, and then we'll come under here in the head section, and we're just going to link to our style.css. We'll just say link style.css, and in the body we'll come down to our bottom, we'll just say script, and then we'll do a script source, and we'll just point that to app.js, to our app.js file. Okay, and then in the body we'll come to the top, and then we'll just have a section element, and in this section we'll have a h1 which just says about, like so. Coming underneath this section, we'll have a div, and we'll give this a class of sticky. So this is going to be used to house all of our kind of image elements, our image wrapper, which will be fixed to the page when we scroll to this section. And then we'll have a div of a class of sticky underscore container, like so. Then coming in here, we'll just have a div of a class of image container. And then that should be enough. And then we're just going to also copy this about section, and we're going to put this underneath here. We need to use a copy of the top of our page, because we want this to have like an infinite scroll effect. So we'll reach the bottom, and then the scroll trigger will bounce back to the top of the page. So that's what we're kind of duplicating this about section at the bottom as well for. Okay, and then for this app, we're going to use Lenis Smooth Scroll. Okay, so this is a great library. It's used just for smooth scrolling, really. It gives you a nice smooth scroll effect. So when you use, for example, the mouse wheel, sometimes you'll see that it's quite clunky when you scroll, but this just gives it that nice smooth effect, like you're seeing with this website here. So when we scroll, it's not clunky, it's very smooth. Okay, so we're going to first just come in here, and just to mention as well that Lenis Scroll will also allow us to implement this infinite scrolling effect really easily as well. This is why I like to use this. Okay, so if we go to the GitHub documentation, we're just going to take the CDN here. Okay, so I'm going to use this CDN, so we can copy this script, and then we'll put this at the bottom or just above our script source, like so, at the bottom of the body here. And then if we come back into that, we'll just say there's also, I think we're going to want some CSS as well. So we'll just take this CSS file here, and then we'll just put that in the top above our style.css, like so, just to get that styling. If you want, it might be worth, for example, you could create local files and copy this CSS over into a local file. Same with the JavaScript as well, just in case the CDN goes down. But for now, we'll just use the CDNs only. So I'm going to open this in Live Server. Okay, and there you can see there's our page. So now let's just make this a bit smaller. Okay, now we're going to come into the CSS. Okay, so in the CSS, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to set our global settings. Okay, so we'll just do a star for all, select all, and we'll say margin 0, padding 0, and box size in border box. And then we'll also just do, we'll do a font family. I'm just going to select sans serif because I just don't like that serif font. And then we'll just do font weight of 400 just to make it a bit lighter, the font. And then we'll just do color of white as well because it's going to have a dark background. And then come underneath this, we'll just target our HTML on body, and I'll just say here background color of, we'll do a dark grey, 161616. Okay, that's looking good. And then next, let's just do our section, target our section element next. And here we'll just say a height of 100 VH. Now you can see we can scroll down. And then we'll also just do display flex. And then we'll just say justify content center and align items center as well. And that just centers our about text like so. Okay, and then come underneath this, we're just going to target our sticky element or div next. We give this a height of 500 VH because we're going to have 5 images. Okay, and we want them to take up the full screen each image, so we'll just do 500 VH. And then I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll just also say position relative as well for this. Okay, so now you should see we can scroll down quite far. And I also just want to hide this scroll bar you can see here on the right because it just ruins the kind of infinite scroll effect. So to do that, we're just going to come underneath the HTML body. We'll say body here, do 2 semicolons and a hyphen, and we'll just say WebKit, and we'll just say scroll bar, like so, and we're just going to say here, display none. You can see now we don't have our scroll bar in view anymore. Okay, so now next thing we want to do here, I'm just going to target next the sticky container. So let's just target that now in our CSS. We'll just say .sticky underscore container. And here we'll just say position relative. And then we'll also just give this a width of 100%. And we'll also give this a height of 100%. Okay, and then, sorry, this should actually be position sticky. Like so. And then here we'll say also top of 0, so it sticks when it gets to the top of the page. And then we'll also just say, again, we'll display flex. We'll just say, yeah, justify content center and align item center as well. Okay, so let's just put a border on this, just so you can see how this works. I'll put a red border on so you can see when we scroll to this section, you can see when we get to the top of the screen, it will stick there. Okay, so it's current. I'm still scrolling at the moment. I'm still scrolling. And then when we get to the bottom of this 500 viewport X section, it will continue to scroll. Okay, so that's what that's doing. So we'll take off this border. Don't want that. And then coming underneath this, we just want to target next our image container. So we're gonna. So this is the. Remember we had an image container here. So we just target that element. So image underscore container like so. And again, we'll give this position relative, and then we'll just say a width of 100%. And we'll give this a height of, again, 100 viewport heights. Really, we could do 100% as well, to be fair, because we are filling this sticky container section. And this should really be, 100 viewport heights. So let's just do that, 100 VH, like so. Yeah, make sure you change your sticky container to 100 viewport heights. Okay, so that's good. And then next, we'll just do .card, because we're going to basically use JavaScript to create cards which will contain the image elements. Okay, so we just say position absolute for these cards, and then we give these a width of 100%, and again a height of 100%. And then finally, we'll just target our image elements which we're going to create with JavaScript. Again, we'll say position absolute, and we'll just say top 0, left 0. We'll just say a width of 100%, a height of 100%, and we're also just going to say object fit cover here, just so it preserves the aspect ratio regardless of the container that it's fit into. Okay, so that's it for our CSS. So that's looking good. Now, the next one I want to do is go into JavaScript. Okay, so what I have got here is basically an array of images which I'm going to use. So what I've done is I've just gone onto unsplash.com and I've just sourced the addresses of various images and I've just copied their address. Okay, so we're going to loop through these images. You see they're in an array here called images, and we're just going to dynamically create those card elements from these. What I also want to do at the top of this page is we'll just say const image container equals documents.query selector, and we'll just query that image container element on our page. Remember to use a dot to target a class. Okay, so use that dot there. Okay, so then underneath this, we're next going to create a empty array called image cards, like so. This is going to be an empty array for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop through each of our images in this array here. So we'll say images.forEach. So for each, and we're going to take in first the image. I'll just use the letter I for the image, and then we'll just say index because we want to pass in the index as well. And then for these, we're just going to say let card equal document dot create element, and want to create a div element here. And then we'll also just say card dot class list, and that's going to equal card. Remember, in our CSS, we're using this card class here. So it basically, when we create these cards, it will apply this CSS, so position of absolute and the width and the height of 100% to each of these cards we're creating. And then we'll just say card, and this is important, dot style dot z index. Okay, and then we're just going to pass in the index there. Okay, because we want the cards to be layered on top of each other. So the first will have an index, a z index of 0. The second image will have a z index of 1. So that means it will be displayed on top, so it'll be in front of the first card. And then basically that will be the same for all of the subsequent images. So they'll all have a an index of +1 to the previous image. So it'll be tiled on top of the previous image. Okay, to get that effect working. And then we're just going to say let image equal new image, like so, capital I. This will instantiate a new image class, and then we can just say image.source, and that's going to equal I, which is the address that we pass in here. So the actual string, image address string. Okay, and then underneath this, we're just going to say card.append child, and we're going to append that image to the card. And then underneath this, we'll say image container dot append child, and we're just going to append that card. Okay, and now you can see we have our images appended. You can only see one at the moment because this is the one that's laid on top of all the others. Okay, that should be this final image here. And then what we want to do as well is just say image cards dot push, and then we're going to push that card as well, because we want to use this array to subsequently scroll through and apply effects to these images. So underneath this, now we need to just get our smooth scroll working. Okay, so we haven't got that yet. It's not working. We're currently just using a normal scroll. So if I just come to my dev tools here, you can see when we scroll, we don't get the kind of Lenis class applied either. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to say const Lenis equals new Lenis. And this basically all comes from the documentation, guys. You can see this all in the GitHub here. You come down and you have like the kind of starter code here. So I'm just basically just going to type this out. Okay, so const Lenis equals new Lenis. And for the infinite scroll, we need to just use some parameters here. So we're going to say infinite. And we're going to set this to true. And then we're also going to use sync touch. And this is also going to be true. Okay, and I did find this in here. You can see that you have like this infinite section here. You can set that to true, and then you'll have sync touch down here as well. And you'll see here you actually get an example. You can go to the example and you can basically just copy this because you've got sync touch, and it just creates this kind of infinite scroll effect. So you can see what it's doing. When the scroller gets to the bottom of the page, it resets and goes to the top, and then vice versa. So that's how it's working, this infinite scroll. Okay, but obviously you won't be able to see this scroll bar on our app because we've hidden it. Okay, so we're just saying that infinite and then sync touch true, and that makes it work on mobile devices good. Okay, and then what we want to do after that, let's just see. Next thing I want to do, let me just hide the scroll bar as well for now. Just unhide the scroll bar just so we can see that scroll ourselves. Okay. Okay, so we've got new Lenis. Okay, that's good. And then what I want to do now is we're just going to do a function here, and then we're just going to use this on. I'm basically, let me just copy this over from this tutorial actually. We'll just say, where is it? We can take this request animation frame here. Okay, so we'll copy that in. There you go. Okay, so now let's see. You can see now we've got this scroll working. When we scroll down to the bottom of the page, it resets. Okay, and you can see that looks very seamless now when we scroll down. Get that nice smooth scrolling effect. Okay, so that's working great. And now we just need to get this. So what we've done here, we've just done this on request animation frame. We pass in the time, which is a parameter given by Lenis. And then we do Lenis.raf, passing the time again, and then we basically just rerun this function. So we say request animation frame on RAF, and it will just keep re-triggering this function here. And we obviously have to initially set it off at the bottom of the JavaScript file. So we do a request animation frame, and then just passing that onRaf function. Okay, now in here, underneath this onRaf, what we want to do is we're going to say image cards. It's a loop for our image cards array, and we'll just say .for each, and then we'll pass in the card and the index. Okay, it's important to pass in the index for this, and then we're going to set a stagger variable. So say stagger, and that's going to equal index plus 1. Okay, and we need to plus 1 because obviously the first index is 0, and we're going to be using math divisions on this stagger, and we can't divide by 0 with JavaScript, so we have to just add 1. Just to get that kind of, make sure this works. Okay, we don't want to divide by 0 error. Okay, and then we're going to get a progress, set a progress variable. That's going to equal window dot scroll y. Okay, so say scroll y, and that gives you the amount of pixels that you scrolled by. And then we're going to divide that by, do brackets, window dot inner height, like so. And then we're going to times that by the stagger. Okay, and then what we want to do here, what we can also just, I just want to show you this as well, which is say console.log window.scroll-y. You'll see now in our console, you get the amount of pixels that you've scrolled by. So at the top, it will be close to 0, 0, and then there you go. That's what that window.scroll-y does. And you'll also see with Lenis, we get this kind of Lenis scrolling class applied now when we scroll to show that it is working and there is smooth scroll being applied to this. Okay, so now coming back to this, what we want to do, we'll just say let inset equals, and we're going to use the math.max. So this will take the maximum number of 0 or 100 minus brackets progress times 100. Okay, that's the math for this. And then we're just going to also say after this inset equals math.min 100 or inset. Okay, so this is just basically to clamp it so we don't go over 100 or below 0, okay, because we want it to be within those numbers to make this effect look good. Okay, and then we can just adjust the clip path. So we just do we'll take the card, we'll apply a style, and we'll set the clip path. Okay, so clip path, capital P, And then here, we're just going to say equals, and we'll use the inset. And then we're going to use template literal here, and we'll just pass in the inset percentage, like so. And that should be the percentage outside of this, the curly braces. Okay, so now you can see we get that nice kind of clip path effect when we scroll down. It looks really nice reveal effect. And that's just the clip path adjusting. And to make this look even better, what we can do, we can come underneath this and we can say c.querySelector. We want to target the image. Okay, so the child image. We'll set the style and we'll say transform. And then we can just say here equals. And we'll just do a template literal again and we'll scale the image. Okay, so here we can just do 100% minus that inset. So it gradually, scale, to 100%. So the actual normal size. Okay, so now you can see .query selector image, .style, .transform, and we got that inset, and the percentage should be within the square brackets, the curly braces. Sorry, guys. Okay, now you can see that we get that nice scaled effect as well with our images. I think that looks a really smart effect. Okay, so and it also takes up every single screen size as well. If we go full screen here, obviously you want to get high resolution images, but yeah, you can see there you go. We get that nice kind of, scaled city effect. And it's infinite as well. Oh yeah, and also just don't forget to hide the scroll bar. So let's go back to our CSS and come up here, uncomment this, and there you go. So yeah, it works on every screen size as well, and yeah, looks pretty smart. And that's just the power of the sticky effect as well, making it fixed to the page when it comes into the full viewport. Okay guys, so I'll wrap this up there. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I'm gonna obviously start doing more of these again. Sorry for the delay. I had to take a bit of a rest lately, just had other projects going on. I'll also link, because I want to start like a web design agency, so I've started my website. I have a few clients already, but yeah, if you want any assistance at all, any work done, please don't hesitate to contact me. But yeah, otherwise, hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers guys.